Having body image concerns is a relatively common experience and is not a mental health issue or problem in and of itself. However, it can be a risk factor for many mental health problems. If you've suffered from anxiety, depression, shame, or self-consciousness due to your weight or appearance, or feeling like somehow you just don't belong, pay attention. This video is absolutely for you. I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks on how to help cope with that and maybe help you understand that you are not alone. Join me now. Watch. Well, the dangers of trying to play doctor on the internet, especially when you're not a doctor. I was all of a sudden in the algorithm, the things that changed, because I've been dealing with some issues with my sinuses, bloating for a long time, etc. But this thing comes up, histamine issue. And that's one of the things that my sinuses being blocked, and like I didn't even acknowledge or know, like because I was having this constant ear pain and my equilibrium, like my set, like I'm dizzy. I've had a lot of conditions, long story short, over the last number of years, but it's like these magnified things. Well, in recent, it's like, okay, well, there's just something that's like kind of a simple thing that can be solved. So you look on the internet and this histamine thing comes up, and that's another food related things that, okay, if you clean this out of your diet, this could be it. And then the next thing, but this leads to the overall issue is understanding that when actual things are wrong, so like there's actual conditions or symptoms, that's a sign something's not right. Okay. Logically, you go, like, there's one, what is the actual issue? So logically, it's like, okay, if this is the issue, this is what you would do to fix it. When it comes into this whole thing with the internet or different things, well, that's a mess. That's why you do want to go to a professional to help you with, as best you can, if that's an option, to get to the root of the issue, to heal that, because that would absolutely change things. However, the issue that I'm facing, that I'm discussing, that I'm talking about most and recognizing, is the piece that comes from the psychology piece on how that ties together and then into the physical. So the issue, so one of the biggest things is discussed is this fasting thing and how that can generally help so many things, especially when you're having issues. So I eat anything, so it's like this histamine, I'm looking at the foods, and in the last couple of days, I've eaten those foods which are specifically, I feel extra pain, extra bloating, intolerance, and they're things that could be healthy things. So like tomatoes are healthy, the soups I've been eating, because I like healthy foods, but okay, my body's having an intolerance, just like even just different things, and then that makes you feel off. Okay, so the answer, here's a program, or here's a thing, and follow this. That's the issue that I'm stuck in. And that's the irony. So 2.5 years ago was triggered by first fasting. And I didn't see or realize the psychology behind that, ironically linked to the self-worth with my body. And at that time, because I had just put on some weight, what I was seeing when I was looking at myself was not, it's like I look back at those videos 2.5 years ago, and it's like I'm looking at a different person. I wasn't seeing my own illness of the body dysmorphia. I didn't really understand or recognize this. And then the guilt and the shame, though, associated when you do like your body, that's another issue. So that's like a split of personalities. Where does that come from? Why? And the projections and the misunderstandings. So the root person that has to understand that is myself. Okay. Although the help, you have to go to outside sources to understand, well, what are those outside sources? You want to go to people who will have what you want, the actual answers. And that's where it gets the weeds, in a sense of what to do next, especially when it comes to weight, body, intolerance, etc., because we all have such individual needs. So it's also so important to understand your own circumstances and your own situation in relevant time, because that also changes. And that's a tough one. And that's what I'm working through and understanding myself. And when I get through this, that's exactly the intentions and the things that I teach is the psychology behind each piece in relation to how our life changes, which has the effect on the body, and then those issues. And so many people are stuck in it. Many people struggle with body dysmorphia. Many people struggle with body image issues, imposter syndrome, etc. When the scale tips, though, to being an unhealthy situation is when it restricts you from your life. I'm in that right now, which I recognize. That's why I'm recognizing I'm stuck, but I'm also sitting in it to understand it so I can permanently heal. And that's also another component as I create, because I also create the courses and the programs for the healing and I base that upon the fact that I had a lifetime of the trauma, yes, but I went through almost all types of programs. And that's what I had to understand, what I'm kind of going against in the grain so the traditional help and the failures of that. However, for the purposes to re-educate the educated in terms of how that relates to also mental health. Our mental health does affect our body here, right? So we have 3 brains, and that alignment is so important. Is that something that makes sense to you? Have you ever felt lost? Have you ever felt maybe even around people and not connected to people? Have you ever pulled away? Have you ever had anxiety, depression? They didn't seem really that made sense to you, but you're like in constant conflict with yourself. And you're in the right place, because this is a healing journey. And let's share in that together. And I hope to empower and educate you as well. Maybe point out some of the things you might not have noticed before. Love for you to join this journey.